Hondájáért tenyésztették, ő a disznók királya. Egyszerűen működik, amit nem basz meg, azt kirántja. Büdös, mint a...
I arrived in Budapest on the 14th of December with my girlfriend. We decided to finally come and visit the city, despite us never before visiting it in our 19 years of age, even though we were less than 4 hours away. Fuck me, I can go to Estonia but not Budapest. Anyways, after diddling on the infamous Serbian-Hungarian border for 2 hours, we arrived in Budapest at 3 AM. And I didn't know what in God's name to do this early, because everything was closed except a McDonald's and a few clubs from which drugged up kids came to eat at said McDonald's. After having my daily dose of cholesterol, we went to our hostel. Upon arrival, I was met with the knowledge that this hostel was a party hostel, which we found out upon inspecting our beds.
Šta je sve tu? Hoćeš li da nas upoznaš?
Ovako, prvo imamo jednu crnu čarapu, pretpostavimo da je u nju svršilo 3 ljudi koji su ovdje noćili pre nas. Zatim imamo naočare, a onda WC papir koji je verovatno isto pun svršotine. Posle toga imamo neku paučinu, verovatno iz pupka.
And then we finally went out exploring the city. So, Budapest is a Central European city populated with Asians that invaded a long time ago and became white by screwing the local nations out of existence, aka now known as Hungarians. And there are around 1.7 million of them living here. Today, Budapest is a hustling and bustling city filled with tourists and overpriced goulash. They're really out here trying to charge them tourist nibbas 10 euros for a bowl of meat soup. So when you arrive here, you might be wondering, what the fuck is there to do? Well, I'll tell you what. First thing you'll notice when you come here is the architecture. Jesus H. Christ on a stick, is the architecture beautiful. Anywhere you go, you're met with these tall ass buildings which are built with the greatest craftsmanship, decorated with statues that you'd think Michelangelo himself did them. And the roofs, man. Whoo-wee, the roofs! The arches on these buildings. Man, fuck porn you can get off by just looking at the buildings in Budapest. You get so many Gothic and Baroque buildings, your eyes will constantly be in a state of orgasm. Speaking of magnificent buildings, Budapest is the home of the largest synagogue in Europe, and the second largest in the world. I present to you the Hani Street Synagogue. Considering Hungary aligned itself with the 20th century's Austrian wannabe Picasso with a funny mustache, it's a wonder that this bad boy survived, although it did get bombed a couple of times. However, in the end it got renovated in the 90s. Of course, I did not go inside the synagogue because the entrance, like most synagogues of Europe, is charged. And I will not make any jokes on that fact, too low-hanging fruit. Come on, guys. There's also the St. Stephen Basilica, which too gave me a hard-on for God and the architect that constructed it. It is named after the first king of Hungary, and it also holds his right hand in its reliquary, which if the church knew what he did with it, I don't think it would be there anymore. It's 96 meters tall, aka 314 feet for my viewers with a brain injury, and it's filled with goddamn tourists, especially now during Christmas time. Right now you got a bunch of kiosks selling barbecue, bags, and candy in front of it. So you have a shit ton of tourists there, which makes it really hard to bask in a church's glory, because every step you take, you're in a sea of some dimwits recording their vacation footage for YouTube that no one is going to see.
There's also Erzsébet tér, or Erzsébet Square, which is one park in the middle of downtown Budapest. What's so special about it? It has one big ass observation wheel, aka a bootleg London Eye. I didn't go on this tourist trap. You caught me once in London, never again. But yeah, speaking of the kiosks, they are everywhere at the moment, and they're all selling overpriced food. At Erzsébet Square, you got the highest concentration of them, selling fucking sausages for 3,000 forints, aka 10 euros. If you go to the supermarket, you can get yourself 2 sausages for a bloody 900 forints, or 3 euros, but a lot of tourists don't know any better, and they're being milked for all they got. Everywhere you go in the city, you got some bullshit that takes advantage of dumbass boomer tourists that are fresh off the boat. For an example, you also got these Euronet ATMs which charge a big old provision for using them and give you a bad exchange rate. And you can easily find it out by googling in Europe ATM scam, yet these fuckaroos are on every goddamn corner, just waiting for their next victim who didn't do their homework. And speaking of those scams, you also got exchange offices that will absolutely rip you off.
giving you around 290 forints for 1 euro when the real exchange rate is 330 for 1, and also charge you a fee that ranges from 5 to 15% on top of that. So you gotta be really careful where you exchange your money and read the bloody fine print. Okay, what else? Yeah, the most famous Hungarian building in existence, the Parliament. Located in the riverfront of the Danube, this massive beauty is the pride of Hungary. Over 100,000 people, 40 million bricks, and 40 kilograms of gold were used to build this behemoth. And it really is a magnificent building. But what I don't get is, why in God's name does a country of less than 10 million people need this big of a building for their government? A bit of a show off if you ask me, but Near it you got the Lajos Square, where everyone and their mother comes to take pictures of the government and the other side of the city. It's pretty dope though, even with a tourist shit show. Near you got the Szabadság tér, aka the Liberty Square, which commemorates the liberation of Hungary by the Soviet social justice warriors from the goons of the racist funny mustache man. And next to that is the statue of Ronald Goddamn Reagan. Which I guess is a passive-aggressive symbolism for the liberation from the communists. There's also this statue, which I guess symbolizes the corruption of Hungary by fascism, and there are also pictures of the terrors which Hungary did during World War II alongside the rest of the Jolly Rancher gang. What else? Budapest also has 8 bridges, one of the more famous ones being Széchenyi Bridge, across which you have Matthias Church and the Fisherman's Bastion, another area heavily filled with tourists, but nonetheless a must-see. You go a couple of streets, climb some steps, and you're at the Castle District, and the first thing you see is the Matthias Church, which is absolutely stunning, with its colorful roof and white Gothic facade. Next to which is the Fisherman's Bastion, where you can get an amazing view of the city and its smog. It's also called the Fisherman's Bastion due to the Fisherman's Guild defending the walls of the city there and also selling fish in the area. Speaking of fish, yeehaw, and welcome to Budapest Tropicarium, a place where you can see the darnest of fish. Just look at this one. This is one dumbass fish. What in tarnation? This ain't no fish. Who let the atheist grandpa in here?
Yeah, this is big brain time.
Look at this dude. He can't get up. He can't get up. I don't think these Hungarians understand the concept of a fish. Fuck you. This one is for Steve Irwin. Rest in peace, bro. Rest in peace. Oh shit, they even have the main actor from Jaws in here. And that's all, folks. Yeah, there's a Tropicarium. The entrance is around 8 euros. It's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Near you also got Memento Park, which is basically where a lot of the communist and Nazi statues went, rather than getting destroyed. To which we went up a hill and got just as it closed. However, the man running the park allowed us to get in, although at a higher price, but I still got to see them statues. Pretty alright if you ask me, definitely would recommend. Back in the city center, you also have the Buda Castle, actually built in the whopping 13th century, which used to be the White House of the Hungarian royal family, but the commies made sure to change that, now did they? And now it's a palace for the National Gallery and History Museum. It's also a part of UNESCO's World Heritage Site, but that's not hard to be considering UNESCO puts every goddamn thing older than my grandma's hip replacement in there. There's also the Liberty statue and Gellert's Hill, where you can climb up and check out Hungary's Statue of Liberty, which wards off immigrants compared to the US's, which greets them. Had no crossing this border, oh no. And there's this cross, which commemorates when Saint Gellert got oofed on the hill when he tried to Christianize the Hungarians, which in all honesty is what we should do with Jehovah's Witnesses. You get some bastard knocking on your door asking if you know the word of Jesus Christ, take him to a hill and just fucking chop his head off. There are also a bunch of murals, these two I particularly like due to them being vintage and also referring to historical events such as the Hungarian uprising of 1956, which just after a decade of commie rule, the Hungarian spastics rose up and formed their own militias and had their government shut down. It was so great that the Red Army was called to crush the rebellion. God, I love Hungarians. A bit further away from the center you have the Millennium Monument, which is pretty dope. It has a bunch of statues, each representing some parts about Hungary, be it wars, its historical figures, its future, and shit like that. On the right and left side of the monument there is the Museum of Fine Arts and the Palace of Art. And in front of it is the glorious Embassy of Serbia. Bog je Srbinijonci da čuvati! But yeah, pretty dope. Near it is the Veda Hunyad Castle, which is a castle built in the late 19th century and in several architecture styles over the years. It is located at the city park. At this time of year, there were once more kiosks selling food for an overpriced price. They also froze the pond there and made it into an ice skating rink, which was pretty cool. Also had some mulled wine, paid €3 for it, for which you can buy an entire bottle of wine in Serbia, but you know, gotta spend those extra forints. But Budapest isn't all sunshine and rainbows. While it is a stunning city, it also has quite a lot of trash and cigarette butts anywhere that's not a tourist area. There's a bunch of homeless people all around as well, which, you know, sucks, but hey, a little bit of chaos always helps to keep the place interesting. Better that than have your country be squeaky clean like Germany.
Oh yeah, there's also the Central Market Hall, which is basically just your regular European farmers market. But the difference between this one and the one in the middle of nowhere European city such as Ulm is that this one caters to tourists. So naturally it has hella high prices and more or less rips you off. You can find sausages, paprika, veggies and all sorts of traditional knickknacks and souvenirs, but they're all above the average price. I also got pickpocketed here. Well, that is, some asswipe attempted to pickpocket my backpack, but all he got was a handful of my athlete's foot ridden socks.
Also, there was this place, the Zoo Cafe, where they bring you a different animal every 20 minutes and you get to interact with them while you eat or drink.
Viš, otiraj ga, Nikola, poješće mi prase.
The service is atrocious and the food is kinda but hey, where else can you hold a bloody snake while you drink a hot chocolate? Answer me that. You also have a bunch of museums and galleries, but who the fuck wants to go there? And yeah, Budapest. One magnificent city, but filled with tourists to the brim, with one hell of a difficult language. What do you think of Budapest? Have you been there? Do you want to go? Let me know in the comments. My name is Nick and you've watched Living Ironically in Europe.